Question 1. When transporting a firearm in a vehicle in California, which of the following is generally required? A. The firearm must be openly displayed on the dashboard. B. The firearm must be loaded and easily accessible for self-defense. C. The firearm must be unloaded and contained within a locked container. D. The firearm can be transported anywhere in the vehicle as long as the owner has a valid FSC. Answer: C. The firearm must be unloaded and contained within a locked container. In California, when transporting a firearm in a vehicle, it must always be unloaded and secured within a locked container. This requirement is in place to enhance public safety by preventing unauthorized access and accidental discharges during transport. Even if you possess a firearm safety certificate, these strict transportation laws still apply to ensure responsible gun ownership. Remember that a locked container means a secure container that can only be opened with a key or combination, or by similar means. Question 2. Before cleaning a firearm, what is the most critical first step you must take? A. Gather all cleaning supplies. B. Ensure the firearm is pointed in a safe direction. C. Verify the firearm is unloaded and cleared of all ammunition. D. Put on eye and ear protection. Answer: C. Verify the firearm is unloaded and cleared of all ammunition. The absolute first step before performing any maintenance, cleaning, or even just handling a firearm, is to verify it is unloaded and cleared of all ammunition. This involves physically checking the chamber, magazine well, and any other potential areas where ammunition could be present. Failing to confirm the firearm is unloaded is a common cause of accidental discharges and is a fundamental violation of safe firearm handling principles. Always treat every firearm as if it were loaded until you have personally verified it is not. Question 3. What is the primary purpose of a Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, in California? A. To allow the holder to carry a concealed firearm in public. B. To demonstrate knowledge of firearm safety and laws before purchasing or acquiring a firearm. C. To exempt the holder from federal background checks. D. To permit the holder to teach firearm safety courses. Answer: B. To demonstrate knowledge of firearm safety and laws before purchasing or acquiring a firearm. The Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, in California serves as proof that an individual has passed a written test demonstrating knowledge of firearm safety laws and handling. It is a mandatory requirement for most firearm purchases or acquisitions from a licensed firearms dealer in California. This certificate is a key part of California's efforts to ensure that firearm owners understand their responsibilities and the basic safety principles necessary to prevent accidents. Think of the FSC as your foundational license to learn and safely handle firearms within California's legal framework. Question 4. When storing a firearm in a home with children or prohibited persons, what is the safest and most legally compliant method? A. Store the firearm unloaded and in a closet, easily accessible in an emergency. B. Keep the firearm loaded in a nightstand drawer for quick access. C. Store the firearm unloaded, locked in a secure container or gun safe, and separate from ammunition. D. Hide the firearm under a mattress, ensuring no one else knows its location. Answer: C. Store the firearm unloaded, locked in a secure container or gun safe, and separate from ammunition. California law requires firearms to be stored in a manner that prevents unauthorized access, especially by children or prohibited persons. The safest and most compliant method is to store the firearm unloaded, secured in a locked container or gun safe, and to store ammunition in a separate, secure location. This separation and locking mechanism prevents tragic accidents and fulfills your legal obligation as a firearm owner to keep firearms away from those who should not access them. Responsible storage is a cornerstone of preventing unintended harm and theft. Question 5. What should you do immediately if a firearm clicks but does not fire when the trigger is pulled, misfire? A. Immediately open the action to remove the round. B. tap the firearm, then try to fire it again. C. Keep the firearm pointed in a safe direction, wait a minimum of 30 seconds, then clear the firearm. D. Hand the firearm to someone else to examine. Answer: C. Keep the firearm pointed in a safe direction, wait a minimum of 30 seconds, then clear the firearm. If a firearm clicks but does not fire, it's called a misfire or a hangfire, where the ignition of the primer is delayed. The crucial safety protocol is to keep the firearm pointed in a safe direction and wait a minimum of 30 seconds. This waiting period accounts for a potential hangfire, which is a delayed ignition that could cause the round to fire unexpectedly. After waiting, carefully clear the firearm while maintaining a safe muzzle direction, and then properly dispose of the faulty ammunition. Question 6. Which of the following is considered an unsafe modification to a firearm? A. Adding a California-compliant bullet button. B. Installing an aftermarket trigger that significantly lightens the trigger pull. C. Attaching a red dot sight to improve aiming. D. Replacing worn-out factory springs with new ones of the same specification. Answer: B. Installing an aftermarket trigger that significantly lightens the trigger pull. Modifying a firearm by installing an aftermarket trigger that significantly lightens the trigger pull can make the firearm unsafe by increasing the risk of an accidental discharge. A lighter trigger pull reduces the amount of pressure needed to fire the gun, making it more prone to unintentional firing if not handled with extreme care. Any modification that compromises the original safety design of the firearm should be avoided, as it can lead to dangerous situations. Always prioritize safety and function over perceived performance enhancements. Question 7. What is the primary purpose of a firearms safety mechanism? A. To replace proper safe handling practices. B. To prevent the firearm from ever firing. C. To act as a mechanical block against accidental discharge, supplementing safe handling. D. To indicate whether the firearm is loaded or unloaded. Answer: C. To act as a mechanical block against accidental discharge, supplementing safe handling. A firearm's safety mechanism is designed to act as a mechanical block, intended to prevent the firearm from firing accidentally when engaged. However, it is crucial to remember that a safety is merely a mechanical device and can fail. Therefore, it should never be relied upon as the primary safety measure. Instead, it serves to supplement the fundamental rules of safe firearm handling, such as always keeping the muzzle pointed in a safe direction and your finger off the trigger until ready to shoot. Question 8. In California, what is the waiting period for the purchase of a firearm from a licensed dealer? A. 3 days. B. 5 days. C. 10 days. D. 30 days. Answer: C. 10 days. California law mandates a 10-day waiting period between the date of purchase and the date a firearm can be picked up from a licensed firearms dealer. This cooling-off period is designed to allow time for a thorough background check and to potentially deter impulse purchases that could lead to violence. Regardless of your experience level or the type of firearm, this 10-day period is a mandatory step in the legal acquisition process in California. Question 9. When should your finger be placed on the trigger of a firearm? A. When picking up the firearm. B. When checking if the firearm is loaded. C. Only when the sights are on the target and you have made the decision to shoot. D. As soon as the firearm is pointed downrange. Answer: C. Only when the sights are on the target and you have made the decision to shoot. A fundamental rule of firearms safety is to keep your finger off the trigger until your sights are aligned with the target and you are ready to fire. Placing your finger on the trigger prematurely significantly increases the risk of an accidental discharge, even if the firearm is pointed in a generally safe direction. This discipline ensures that the firearm will only discharge intentionally, preventing negligent discharges. Always remember that the trigger is the ultimate control for firing. Keep your finger off it until you are ready to make the firearm perform its intended function. Question 10. Which of the following is not one of the primary rules of firearm safety? A. Treat every firearm as if it were loaded. B. Always keep your finger on the trigger. C. Always keep the muzzle pointed in a safe direction. D. Be sure of your target and what is beyond it. Answer: B. Always keep your finger on the trigger. The statement, "always keep your finger on the trigger," is explicitly not a primary rule of firearms safety. In fact, it is the opposite of a critical safety principle. One of the core rules is to always keep your finger off the trigger until your sights are on the target and you are ready to shoot. Adhering to the actual safety rules, treating every firearm as loaded, keeping the muzzle in a safe direction, keeping your finger off the trigger until ready, and being sure of your target and beyond, is paramount to preventing accidents. Question 11. What is the recommended method for checking if a semi-automatic handgun is clear of ammunition? A. Look down the barrel to see if it's empty. B. Remove the magazine, then rack the slide multiple times and visually and physically inspect the chamber. C. Point the firearm in a safe direction and pull the trigger to see if it fires. D. Shake the firearm to hear if any rounds are rattling inside. Answer: B. Remove the magazine, then rack the slide multiple times and visually and physically inspect the chamber. To safely clear a semi-automatic handgun, first remove the magazine to ensure no more ammunition can be fed into the firearm. Then, rack the slide multiple times to eject any potential round from the chamber. Finally, visually and physically inspect the chamber and magazine well to confirm they are empty. This systematic process ensures that the firearm is completely unloaded and safe to handle, preventing accidental discharges. Never rely on just one check, always verify both visually and physically. Question 12. If you borrow a firearm from a friend, what must you do before taking possession of it in California? A. Nothing, as long as your friend trusts you. B. Complete a private party transfer through a licensed firearms dealer, FFL. C. Verbally confirm you have a valid FSC. D. Just ensure the firearm is unloaded. Answer: B. Complete a private party transfer through a licensed firearms dealer, FFL. In California, nearly all transfers of firearms between private citizens, even between friends or family, with some very specific exceptions like immediate family members, must be conducted through a licensed firearms dealer, FFL. This process ensures that the recipient undergoes a background check and that the firearm is legally registered. Bypassing an FFL for a private party transfer is illegal and carries serious penalties. Always use an FFL for any firearm acquisition or transfer. Question 13. Which action should you take if you are at a shooting range and someone points a firearm in an unsafe direction? A. Ignore it, as it's not your concern. B. Immediately intervene by shouting, "Ceasefire," and alerting range staff. C. Quietly walk away from the person. D. Wait until the person has finished shooting before saying anything. Answer: B. Immediately intervene by shouting, "Ceasefire," and alerting range staff. If you observe someone pointing a firearm in an unsafe direction at a shooting range, your immediate action should be to intervene by shouting, "Ceasefire," and alerting range staff. This immediate and decisive action is critical to prevent a potential accident and ensures everyone's safety on the range. Safety is a shared responsibility, and speaking up when you see a violation helps protect everyone present. Question 14. What does the term "unloaded" mean for a firearm in California for transportation purposes? A. No ammunition is in the chamber or attached magazine. B. The magazine is removed, but a round can still be in the chamber. C. The firearm is disassembled into its major components. D. The firearm is locked in a case, regardless of whether it contains ammunition. Answer: A. No ammunition is in the chamber or attached magazine. In California, for purposes of transportation and most storage requirements, unloaded means that there is no ammunition in the chamber and no ammunition in any attached magazine or feeding device. This precise definition ensures that the firearm cannot be readily discharged. It's crucial to understand this definition to comply with California's strict firearm laws, especially when transporting firearms in a vehicle. Always confirm your firearm meets this definition of unloaded before moving it. Question 15. Why is it important to know your target and what is beyond it? A. To ensure you hit the center of the target for scoring. B. To prevent damage to the firing range equipment. C. To ensure that your bullet will not strike unintended objects or persons after passing through or missing your target. D. To demonstrate your precision aiming skills. Answer: C. To ensure that your bullet will not strike unintended objects or persons after passing through or missing your target. Knowing your target and what is beyond it is a critical safety rule because a bullet can travel a significant distance, even after hitting its intended target or missing it entirely. This awareness prevents collateral damage and ensures that no unintended objects or people are struck by a stray round. Always consider the entire area behind your target, including structures, terrain, and potential unseen individuals, to prevent tragic accidents. Your responsibility extends far beyond just hitting what you aim at. Question 16. If a firearm is equipped with a chamber-loaded indicator, what should you still do to verify it's unloaded? A. Rely solely on the indicator as it is a mechanical device. B. Visually and physically inspect the chamber after removing the magazine. C. Point it in a safe direction and pull the trigger. D. Assume it's unloaded if the indicator doesn't show a round. Answer: B. Visually and physically inspect the chamber after removing the magazine. Even if a firearm is equipped with a chamber-loaded indicator, you should still always visually and physically inspect the chamber and magazine well to verify it's unloaded after removing the magazine. Mechanical indicators can fail or provide a false reading, and relying solely on them can lead to dangerous assumptions. The only sure way to know a firearm is unloaded is through a thorough and personal inspection. This practice reinforces the fundamental rule of treating every firearm as if it were loaded until you have personally verified otherwise. Question 17. What is the minimum age to purchase a handgun in California, with some exceptions for specific circumstances like law enforcement? A. 18 years old. B. 21 years old. C. 25 years old. D. 30 years old. Answer: B. 21 years old. In California, the minimum age to purchase a handgun is generally 21 years old. This age restriction is a key part of California's firearm laws, aiming to regulate who can acquire certain types of firearms. While there are some narrow exceptions, such as for active duty military or law enforcement, the general rule of 21 applies to most individuals seeking to purchase a handgun. This age requirement is another layer of responsibility built into the firearm acquisition process. Question 18. What type of device is typically required to be sold with a new firearm in California to enhance safety? A. A laser aiming device. B. An approved firearm safety device, e.g., cable lock, trigger lock. C. An extended magazine. D. A carrying case with wheels. Answer: B. An approved firearm safety device, e.g., cable lock, trigger lock. In California, new firearms sold by licensed dealers must be accompanied by an approved firearm safety device, such as a cable lock or trigger lock. This requirement ensures that owners have a means to immediately secure their new firearm and prevent unauthorized use. The purpose of these devices is to add a physical barrier that restricts the firearm's operation, thus enhancing safety and deterring access by children or prohibited individuals. Always use these devices when a firearm is not in active use or under your direct control. Question 19. What should be done with ammunition that appears corroded or damaged? A. Attempt to fire it anyway, as it might still work. B. Attempt to clean it before using it. C. Dispose of it by burying it in the backyard. D. Safely dispose of it in accordance with local regulations, as it could be unsafe to fire. Answer: D. Safely dispose of it in accordance with local regulations, as it could be unsafe to fire. Ammunition that appears corroded, damaged, or otherwise compromised should never be used, as it could be unsafe to fire and potentially cause a malfunction or injury. Such ammunition should be safely disposed of in accordance with local regulations, which often involves taking it to a hazardous waste facility or a designated ammunition disposal site. Attempting to fire or clean damaged ammunition is dangerous, and improper disposal can pose environmental risks. Always prioritize safety and proper disposal for questionable ammunition. Question 20. What is the purpose of dry firing a firearm? A. To test the firearm's firing pin without using live ammunition. B. To clean the inside of the barrel. C. To practice trigger control and sight alignment without expending ammunition. D. To loosen up the internal components of a new firearm. Answer: C. To practice trigger control and sight alignment without expending ammunition. Dry firing is the practice of manipulating a firearm's trigger and aiming without live ammunition in the chamber or magazine. Its primary purpose is to allow a shooter to practice critical shooting fundamentals like trigger control, sight alignment, and sight picture without the cost or noise of live ammunition. It's an excellent training tool, but it's absolutely crucial to ensure the firearm is thoroughly cleared of all ammunition and pointed in a safe direction before engaging in dry firing. Question 21. If you are handling a firearm, and you hear someone nearby yell, "Cease fire," what is your immediate action? A. Continue shooting until you finish your magazine. B. Remove your finger from the trigger, stop shooting, keep the muzzle pointed downrange, and wait for further instructions. C. Look around to see who yelled. D. Clear your firearm and then ask what happened. Answer: B. Remove your finger from the trigger, stop shooting, keep the muzzle pointed downrange, and wait for further instructions. When "cease fire" is called at a range or during training, it signifies an immediate halt to all shooting activity due to a safety concern. Your immediate action must be to remove your finger from the trigger, stop shooting, keep the firearm's muzzle pointed downrange or in a safe direction, and await further instructions from range staff or the instructor. This rapid response is vital for addressing potential hazards and maintaining a safe environment for everyone. Question 22. When performing routine maintenance or cleaning of a firearm, what environment is safest? A. Outdoors in an open area. B. In a designated cleaning area, free of ammunition and distractions. C. On a kitchen table while watching TV. D. In a gun safe, with the door open for light. Answer: B. In a designated cleaning area, free of ammunition and distractions. The safest environment for performing routine maintenance or cleaning of a firearm is a designated cleaning area that is free of live ammunition and distractions. This dedicated space helps prevent accidental mixing of live rounds with spent casings or cleaning supplies, and minimizes the risk of an unintended discharge. Keeping the area clear and focused on the task at hand is crucial for ensuring a safe and thorough cleaning process. Question 23. What does positive control of a firearm refer to? A. Having the firearm loaded and ready for immediate use. B. Keeping the firearm within arm's reach at all times, even when not directly handling it. C. Maintaining direct, immediate control over the firearm to prevent unauthorized access or accidental discharge. D. Being able to shoot accurately with the firearm. Answer: C. Maintaining direct, immediate control over the firearm to prevent unauthorized access or accidental discharge. Positive control of a firearm means maintaining direct, immediate control over it to prevent unauthorized access or accidental discharge. This implies that the firearm is either in your direct physical possession, such as being held in your hand, or is secured in a manner that prevents others from accessing it without your direct involvement. When you are not exercising positive control, the firearm should be securely stored, typically unloaded and locked, especially when children or prohibited persons are present. This concept is critical for preventing negligent incidents. Question 24. Which of the following is a key component of responsible firearm ownership? A. Owning multiple types of firearms. B. Being proficient in competitive shooting. C. Understanding and complying with all applicable federal, state, and local firearm laws. D. Only using the firearm for hunting purposes. Answer: C. Understanding and complying with all applicable federal, state, and local firearm laws. A key component of responsible firearm ownership is thoroughly understanding and complying with all applicable federal, state, and local firearm laws. Laws vary significantly, and ignorance of the law is not an excuse for non-compliance. Staying informed about regulations regarding purchase, possession, storage, transportation, and use of firearms is essential for legal and safe ownership. This commitment to legal compliance is as important as knowing how to safely handle the firearm itself. Question 25. If you inherit a firearm in California, what is typically required to legally take possession of it? A. You can immediately take possession as it's an inheritance. B. You must register it with your local police department. C. You must complete an intrafamilial firearm transaction report or go through an FFL, depending on the relation. D. You only need a valid FSC. Answer: C. You must complete an intrafamilial firearm transaction report or go through an FFL, depending on the relation. In California, inheriting a firearm still requires legal steps to take possession. If the firearm is from a grandparent, parent, child, or grandchild, you must complete an intrafamilial firearm transaction report. For other relatives or non-relatives, the transfer must go through a California licensed firearms dealer, FFL. These processes ensure that the transfer is legally recorded and that the recipient passes a background check, maintaining the state's oversight of firearm ownership changes. Question 26. Before going to a shooting range, what essential personal protective equipment should you ensure you have? A. Gloves and a hat. B. Eye and ear protection. C. A bulletproof vest. D. A first aid kit. Answer: B. Eye and ear protection. Before going to a shooting range, essential personal protective equipment you must have includes eye and ear protection. Eye protection, like safety glasses, shields your eyes from spent casings, ricochets, and other debris. Ear protection, such as earplugs or earmuffs, protects your hearing from the extremely loud noise produced by gunfire, which can cause permanent damage. Using both is crucial for your safety and long-term well-being at the range. Question 27. What is the most reliable way to confirm the correct ammunition caliber for your firearm? A. By guessing based on the firearm's size. B. By checking the barrel or slide markings on the firearm. C. By comparing the ammunition to other rounds you have. D. By asking a friend who also owns a firearm. Answer: B. By checking the barrel or slide markings on the firearm. The most reliable way to confirm the correct ammunition caliber for your firearm is to check the markings stamped on the barrel or slide of the firearm itself. These markings precisely indicate the specific caliber of ammunition the firearm is designed to safely use. Using the wrong caliber ammunition can lead to serious malfunctions, damage to the firearm, or even injury to the shooter. Always verify the caliber marking before loading any ammunition. Question 28. What should be done with a firearm that is reported lost or stolen in California? A. Nothing, as it is no longer in your possession. B. Immediately report it to local law enforcement. C. Wait a few days to see if it turns up. D. Post about it on social media. Answer: B. immediately report it to local law enforcement. In California, if your firearm is lost or stolen, you are legally required to immediately report it to local law enforcement. This requirement helps prevent stolen firearms from being used in crimes and assists law enforcement in recovering them. Failing to report a lost or stolen firearm promptly can carry legal consequences, in addition to contributing to potential public safety risks. Your swift report is crucial for public safety and your legal compliance. Question 29. When considering home defense, why is it important to have a plan for where your bullet will go if you miss your target or it passes through? A. To minimize noise. B. To ensure safety for family members and neighbors, preventing unintended harm or property damage. C. To practice tactical movement within your home. D. To determine the best place to store your firearm. Answer: B. To ensure safety for family members and neighbors, preventing unintended harm or property damage. In a home defense scenario, it is absolutely critical to have a mental plan for what your bullet will strike if you miss your target or if it passes through an intruder. Bullets can penetrate walls, doors, and furniture, potentially endangering innocent family members in other rooms or even neighbors. This foresight is part of responsible firearm use and ensures that your defensive actions do not inadvertently cause harm to those you are trying to protect. Question 30. When handing a firearm to another person, what is the safest procedure? A. Hand it to them loaded, with the safety on. B. Hand it to them butt first, loaded, with your finger on the trigger. C. Hand it to them unloaded, action open, muzzle pointed in a safe direction. D. Hand it to them with the magazine in, but no round in the chamber. Answer: C. Hand it to them unloaded, action open, muzzle pointed in a safe direction. The safest procedure when handing a firearm to another person is to ensure it is unloaded, with the action open, or cylinder open for a revolver, and with the muzzle pointed in a safe direction. This allows the recipient to immediately verify the firearm's unloaded status by visually inspecting the chamber. Always confirm the firearm is clear and presented in a way that allows the other person to confirm its safety before they take possession.